am I always doing it when I'm starting? Alright. Hello, this is Broomhandle45 and welcome to Moonlighting. Personally, for me, it's welcome back because apparently I'm the guest host because everybody likes to make fun that I'm not here. But I can't help that. I'm sure everybody missed me. I missed me.
Well, so someone has to.
Certainly.
Well, I know Niall missed you.
No.
What are you talking about? I talk to pretty much every other day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's true. He missed the sound of your voice.
Everybody misses the sound of my voice. But today, we have our normal assortment of people, plus a guest, including myself, apparently. As always, we have Dark Angel 76.
Hello.
We have the wonderful duo of Arisild, or however you pronounce it. Ari. Ari, as I call her, because I can't pronounce that word. And Nihilistic Impact.
Hey.
Excuse me. And as always, we have My Happy World and the wonderful lady.
Hello.
Happy's now
I changed my name.
I don't care.
Yeah, Happy's now
Happy
Kimmy
changed.
Doll.
I don't care. She's still here. It counts. She's still here. Yeah.
My Happy World was she's what? Kimmy Doll, formerly known as My Happy World.
I
Yeah,
don't care.
Formerly known as Prince.
it's a mouthful of words.
It's a misprint. Oh, do you wanna rewrite the script?
Gosh, do I just
It's
spit it all
okay.
out for you?
No.
Alright, just continue.
I know. And of course, our guest is Kurobara.
Did we get Lane in there?
Welcome.
Okay.
God, keep up.
That was the big thing that everybody just yelled at me for.
No, that was Happy.
I know.
Seriously, keep up.
Oh, don't even start with me. I just woke up like 15 minutes
This is
ago.
what we.
I will cut
This is
you.
what we get for letting guests host.
Yummy. Sorry.
Oh, Dark wants that nice little blood.
I had to sneak it in first.
Okay, so this topic is again one that I can follow, even though I missed the last two, which I was kind of annoyed about. But this one is about GMing and DMing, which I didn't actually know there was a complete difference in the terms. So
There isn't.
I think the term is pretty interchangeable, really.
I think it is too. I think it depends on system or.
It's very much a system whole distinction because game mastering is very generic, while dungeon mastering is very much D&D or some other offshoot.
Fantasy bent, as it were.
Hero's
Yeah,
Quest
you
or
see it a
something.
lot. You see people using it different, using them interchangeably, and I was always curious, is there an actual difference, or does it not matter?
No.
Or...
There's really no difference. It's just
Whatever you decide to
Branding.
go by, yeah.
Yeah.
and to throw in another storyteller.
Yeah,
Ooh, I
mean,
like that better.
Yeah, certain games actually call
Well,
it
that's-
something else, but
I guess, yeah. Storyteller is kind of nice. I like that.
That's primarily a White Wolf thing going on with their vampire and werewolf and
I love their werewolf stuff.
I think
Old
what we
world,
can
though.
take away from this is that you can call yourself whatever the hell you want to call yourself.
It does
Pretty
the
much.
same
Yeah.
damn thing.
And there's even a lot more, because a lot of people will try to come up with terms in order to utilize it all on their own
Mm-hmm.
to differentiate themselves from
Nice.
DMing.
Or to make it fit with whatever kind of setting you.
Oh yeah,
wanna
like
swing.
the Ryutama, don't they have a specific term?
I believe they call them the Ryujin, since you're actually
A
since
dragon character.
since in that game the DM is actually a character, so it differs all the web,
Yeah.
all over the place. But before we get too heavy into that, we should probably explain what a GM is.
Yeah.
Is the
Ooh.
world which the
Game
players
master.
interact with.
Well, a DM is Annihilate because that's technically his initials.
True.
Ooh.
Well, we'll put that way. I was in a conversation I never really wanted to know ever.
No, really, his initials.
I know.
He even has a birthmark on his arm in the shape of an M. Clearly, he's destined.
Maybe that's where his compulsive
Man,
world building comes from.
Destiny.
Probably.
But yeah, so GM, DM, whatever you want to call it, is God, I guess, to be dramatic. Because
Yeah, it's really just the world and how the players interact with it. They're a computer. You do A or B or Q and all the other bullshit that you try to accomplish. The GM takes it in,
And
interprets
ruins your
it.
life.
and then spews it back at you.
No, what they do is they take it and they crush your hopes and dreams and ruin your life. That is what they do.
That sounds about right.
As a player, I can confirm this.
Yeah, all I ever get
Agreed.
was drama. Giant leviathans and freaking
What
doom
happened?
cats.
Doom cats.
Yep.
I want
Isn't
to
that
do
just like-
that.
Curious to really,
Spice must
you know.
flow.
Ooh,
My solution to everything is just doom cat.
Isn't that like a normal Australia afternoon then, or what?
Pretty much.
So Australia is its own tabletop experience.
It is true.
Yep. Fighting giant
I don't
spiders
think
and
that you
birds
roll a
and
D20 to
kangaroos.
see if you. I don't think when you're out and about, though, I don't think you roll die to see if you manage to escape an encounter, though.
Well, we all know that Australia uses the percentile base.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, get your head out of your
The
ass.
dice are just for
Oh,
distractions.
excuse me.
It's like throwing sand in the face except with dice. Just dice to the face and run for it.
Why am I finding beard hairs all over my computer?
That is gross.
That was quite some lag.
They're not beard hairs.
Oh my.
That was also gross.
Hell, I keep finding them, and I don't know where they're coming from because Niall's across the room from me.
He's marking his territory.
Apparently. I found 3 of them.
He just sneaks up at night and brushes his beard over it.
4 of them.
That is gross. But anywho,
She's in bed. I sleep in bed.
Don't shed your beard hairs in bed. Do I have to squirt you with water?
Just collect
Yeah.
them
Go
and send them
sleep
to
on the
Broom.
couch.
You go sleep on the couch.
Why would you want a cat when you have a nihil?
Yeah. He's,
Because a
shedding
cat will
everywhere.
love me.
I'm starting to see why you just let things go, Niall.
With how absurd some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just starting to see where you're just like, yeah, whatever.
No,
I am-
he loves me.
I am-
But I want a small, furry, nice thing.
We can make something out of his beard.
No, because his beard isn't soft enough to make a cat out of. It's soft, but it's not cat soft.
you gotta condition it
This
more.
is-
Alright, okay.
This
Before
went
this
somewhere
becomes
weird.
Gary wants a cat.
Or a
Maybe you
dog,
should
or
straighten
any
it.
other pet. I want a
She's
pet.
good at
Yeah,
inserting it just
yeah,
about anywhere,
yeah.
but
And it's not General Motors.
okay. Has any of you participated in any kind of group thing, be it, I'm assuming, be it tabletop or a group role play or anything that really required a GM?
Yep.
I've done
Yeah.
group games.
I have done so much.
I have to.
Well, I guess I am the oddish man out
That's what you get
because
for
I
being the
haven't done
guest.
it too extensively.
But you've done group RPs, which is like the same as me. Because I've
Yeah.
never done.
And they've died.
And they made me want to smash my head in like a
But
ripe
I-
melon.
well,
But
Oh god, I remember those.
I've been in some pretty successful group RPs, some of which I've actually run myself.
well, yeah, there's that too.
You know, sometimes, Broom, you just have to run them yourself.
Yeah. How's that going?
You say, "Fuck the world, I'm gonna run this bitch." Just do
That's
it
weird how that's
yourself.
turning out, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
This is what happens when we volunteer you to do something.
Mhm. Awesome.
You're doing such a good job.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, I really want to do something. And they're like, yeah, you want to run a cyberpunk world? I'm like, I do? And they're like, yeah, you do.
And then you did.
No, he hasn't run it. He's just been obsessing over details over it.
Okay.
We're all
I
still
should've been
waiting.
expected.
At least I've been helpful.
We made some progress.
Yet at
We've
the same time, very distracting.
got character stuff done, and
Mhm.
I helped you with some NPCs, your mechanics,
there we go.
and
Yes,
then
More
I
ideas.
totally thrown you off with the Sisters of Battles.
Yeah, that happened, but we're not going to talk about that. So, if you've never done it, which I know a small number haven't, would you ever deal with the incredible migraine that it produces?
Yeah, I'd do it again.
Yeah, I think I could.
Of
It
being a
sounds like
GM?
fun.
I wouldn't.
Why
I
not?
do not. I don't have the patience for it.
It is hurting cats.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that
That
seems about
sounds
accurate.
adorable.
It
Don't
is.
use that phrase.
Pretty much how I live my life.
No,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
I
hardest
love
part,
hurting
at least, like,
cats.
on the forums, though, what's
They just-
hardest on the forums, and I mean, I think it's probably different with tabletop because I don't know. I mean,
You're all there.
yeah, I mean, and you'll have to tell us like your tabletop experiences in a second, but like on the forums, it's hardest to keep them posting, because people will be all like, "Yeah, I'm excited, I'm ready to do this, blah blah," and then you'll come up with this great story, and this premise and this background and all this stuff, and then you'll create your characters and everything will be ready to go. You'll do the first post or two, and then it's like nothing.
It's a lot harder to
Yeah.
back out when
And
you
it's
can
like,
drive around their house and beat
Jesus.
them with a stick.
So, and then you'll try everything under your power to make them be enticed to continue going, and then it's like nothing, and you're like, God damn, what do I do? I gotta make these people freaking post.
This is
And-
why the most successful GM'd online events I've ever encountered were like back in there when I first joined Gaia. There were these roleplay events where you'd have like 40 or 50 people, and you'd have like 4 or 5 separate like GMs that would arbitrate like if people had any complications, or they'd run the NPCs if there were any like big NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just over the course of a weekend, just during like the daylight hours, and it was a mad rush to do everything, and it was glorious.
Because they force the pace.
Yes.
See, that would work in theory, but I don't know if people in general really want to step on toes like that. I mean, I personally wouldn't give a shit one way or another, because if somebody tells me I can, then I will. But in general, I think people do the group roleplay thing because they want it to be a group. So they start waiting, and that's where the problem becomes in, because sometimes people might not want to, actually do it at the pace that you want to do it.
Yeah.
So then you get into that hot mess.
Well, what happens is the exclusion factor. You get people who feel, oh, they're not waiting for me, I'm excluded, I can't do this, now I'm behind, blah, blah. And yeah, that can suck, it really can, because I know how it is, because sometimes I can't always post, and then I feel like my character's out of the loop, or, or I feel badly, but, so I've been on both sides, I know what that's like. And, and then being admin of the site, I have that compulsion to not want to, so it sucks.
I still
Not
vote a
one of
digital stick.
them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
it means that I don't want to.
Deal with the headache.
Bleh.
Yeah, because I deal with enough headache, so it's like I don't want to deal with more. So
That makes sense.
yeah. So I mean, plus I mean, I also just want everyone to have fun together too. So I always encourage. It probably also has to do with why, format-wise, on the forums, I prefer having the multiple threads as opposed to one single thread. I prefer it so that way people can, like, if they want to go off and form a group there, or form a group, in another spot, they can. So that way you don't feel like you have to necessarily be stuck in one spot or whatever. You can kind of have, like, a couple of threads to sort of go and meander and do whatever.
Definitely, and that's how the whole entire event thing played out. Like,
Yeah.
you'd have a rough map, and then you'd have different areas and little subsectors inside of them, and then you'd have travel posts, and then people
Yeah.
would encounter each other, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
That's what
Yeah,
I
but
always
it's a lot of
encourage.
work.
It
It
was
is.
a lot of work.
But they have
Yeah.
multiple people to do that, so it probably wasn't as much work as it would be.
No.
But
Well,
not everybody has that.
You need a very dedicated, staff.
There's that too, which you might not always get ever, if at all.
Yeah, which is, one of the reasons why, I almost went back to Gaia, last year because of fighting tournament that I was part of years before was going to have its final one. Well, it never actually occurred. In fact, most of the staff members have dropped off. And I don't know if it will ever see completion, but... and if it does, it's not even going to be with the original crew, which is what the entire plan was, to have one last big hurrah before they close shop. And if it's a new person, then what the fuck anyways?
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
But that certainly brings in an issue, like, which I've noticed amongst group, is that you have to be able to attract new blood.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things just stagnate, and you'll see a death to posting because people are just like, same old, same
This is
old.
the flaw of digital conversation. You can't offer people free pizza as a bribe.
Oh no, you can't do that either.
Well, you can certainly do that with the internet now. You can just order it for them online.
I've tried that. No one ever accepts my offer.
Oh.
Which is sad because she'll actually
It's a little
do it.
expensive for you to order pizza over in Australia.
Not really. It's
Actually, no, it wouldn't, would it?
No. As long as, because it's a MasterCard, it'd just work overseas. I just order through your version of Pizza Hut.
Would you get through transaction fees? Foreign transaction fees?
They're like $1.
Depending upon your card.
Foreign transaction fees for my bank are $1, so $1 extra for, what, an $8
That's
pizza?
not too bad.
That's not much.
We could get dicked over on it because banks.
Because banks, that's all you need to say. Banks.
Fucking banks.
Well, I think the problem with getting new blood is also a lot of I think it's especially one of the things that people don't really think about too much when they want to do group role plays online, is that they have a much wider pool of people, and really you don't have any excuse to really say no to them if you don't really know them. But then you start getting into the normal thing where, if it was a group and you didn't like somebody, well, it becomes much clearer why you don't want them in the group, as opposed to having them online, which, I mean, me personally, if I didn't like somebody enough to not have them, then I would just tell them that, but, not everybody works that way, and it can be hard for people to, say, because especially if that person is causing issues with the way the game flows, or causing problems with other people, it can be a headache.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think
like-
that's...
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No,
finish
that's
up.
fine, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one thing I try to do, like when I've run group games, to sort of help figure out and potentially weed things out like that, I've always asked, because you don't always see this with groups, but a lot of people don't ask people to submit their profiles to them first. I always
I
ask
require
people, I do too, and I always ask for it to be submitted to me so that I can look it over, see what they're thinking, and if they need the help or not. And if they need help beyond recognition, you pretty much kind of have an idea if it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? And you have to sort of break it to them gently. And then if you can sort of salvage it, and it's worth salvaging. I mean, because you have to find that fine line, like what's salvageable versus what isn't salvageable. Because you don't want to reject everyone, but at the same time, you know what I mean. You want to be able to include as many people as you can without looking like you're an asshole. So you have to find.
Found when I did group role plays that one of the things that worked for us was to establish roles that people could select off a list and fill in slots. So if there was X amount of this type of character, then you weren't getting the same characters for everything.
Yeah,
And
that's good too.
Worked really well.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of cliche, the whole old school balanced party where you got a heal bot, your meat shield, and then your wizard and your thief to spring any traps.
Nothing
But
wrong with
it
meat
works.
shields.
Yeah.
It did.
I think a lot of it is also probably the reason people don't like that necessarily is because it gives them a sense that they don't have as much freedom as they would, even though it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because it's a fucking... I mean, you're not going off of anything dedicated. You're pretty much making it up as you go, but people don't make it feel like that because, now you got a list, and now you're restricted, and it's
Not to mention, restrictions breed creativity, and people need to fucking realize that more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking nice. All the creativity.
yeah, no,
Random
it's-
tables!
I love random tables. That's another. We can talk about hours on that, but that's another thing entirely.
I think you might need
I
to get a
intend to
different
talk
room for
about-
that one.
I
That's
know you
part
do.
of the DM part.
I know you do.
Mm.
But no, I think a lot of people need to put more scope into the fact that it does breed a lot of creativity, because you can't do whatever the hell you want now. You actually have to narrow what you want to do in order to satisfy yourself and to fit whatever theme that the role play or the thing's got going on. Because if anybody just went with their imagination, nobody would have any problems whatsoever making a character. But would that character be any good, or would it even fit what the hell you're doing, is another
Yeah.
thing entirely.
It's a simple
Yeah.
solution. If you want to be all characters, you just kill the rest while they're sleeping and steal their weapons. And you're done. You're a tank, an archer, you're a healer, and then you just run off.
Okay.
You still have no health.
Yeah.
One step at a time. That's for level 2.
Here comes the kobolds. Everyone's dead.
There you go.
Are they 4-armed kobolds?
Nope.
I hate
Those
kobolds.
traps.
I know.
It doesn't matter anymore, because I can shoot them and heal myself. And I'm a tank.
I
No
don't think
issues.
that works how you think it works.
It does, because I worked within the limits
Kobolds
that were
played
given to me.
correctly will fucking kill you.
Yes, they will.
I still
And they
played
won't
within the
even fight you,
restrictions.
They just like traps.
Fucking kobolds.
Well, on the subject of characters, I think one thing we should certainly cover that is also listed here by this wonderful list. Well-rounded characters, or do you just like letting them do whatever the hell they want and just make some shit happen? I mean, I guess the best question is, do you make sure that whoever you have in your group is covering all bases? I mean, it kind of does fit in with, making sure, like, if you wanted them to fit in, like, a certain role and then just go off of that, or do you just
Are we
kind
talking
of...
mechanically or within the story, like having everyone have like a agreed, this is how we know each other?
I think
A little
both.
of both, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
like a
strength,
little
weaknesses
half
thing.
and half there, like...
Alright,
It
well,
kinda
one of the
depends.
things I've noticed with my group is mechanically, they'll typically do most of it on their own to make sure they cover all their bases.
Mhm.
But when it comes to, like, characters having, like, connections to one another, there's usually fuck all.
Right.
A few of them, yes, but overall, not much.
Okay. I always... See, for me, it's always been a matter of... I kind of think, even though I haven't really done it too much, I kind of think it's a poor DM that does not, adjust to what the character's weaknesses and strengths are. I mean, in terms of organization, it does make things very nice if you have a character that suits every situation, or has a group that can do almost every situation, because that allows you to be much more versatile. But I also think that if you're doing it purely because you don't want to deal with the random situation that shows up, then that's not really a very good thing, in my opinion, because personally I always thought creativity, especially when something like this, should go both ways.
Yes,
So,
it should.
If
Our
you're-
DM has actually incorporated things we've decided in backstory into his campaigns.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
One of the things that my players are learning very slowly is not to talk about worst scenarios in front of me.
Be quiet. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. My old GM used to do that
But
as well.
I mean,
He'd
yeah, that's
incorporate our
definitely something
backstories
you
into
do
it.
too, and I think a lot of it there is also, I mean, maybe you don't have a group that can, like, I don't know, go in, like, sneak into dungeons or anything like that, and I don't necessarily think that should be something that a DM should complain about in so much as they should try to find ways that
Challenge the group within
Challenge
their
the group.
specialties.
challenge the group and him too. I mean, you want to. I think people work best under pressure, especially when it comes to creativity. I mean, sure, you can. It might not be very cool looking or anything, but sometimes I think the mundane complexity can also really throw people for a loop, especially if you have a group of. I don't know, like a group of warriors or whatever, and they need to do something that is entirely out of their spec, but you still need to kind of balance it to where they don't feel like their characters are utterly useless.
Yeah, like that kind of ties into like mechanically like 3.5 in Pathfinder, whereas like as you level up, spellcasters get so much utility from their spell list, whereas like the fighter is still just swinging their sword and they don't have like the capability to mimic the thief in opening locked chests or turning invisible to scout out ahead or being able to make, well, the invisibility is like a third level spell. And then like being able to charm like the king into being your best bud so you can get the keys to the kingdom, whereas fighter dude is just kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? Not to mention all the save or die or save or suck spells.
We ran into that actually in our very first campaign because there were only 3 of us, and it was a mage and a fighter and a cleric, and that was it. And he put us in a couple situations where we could have used with some other types of people, and terrible things happened. Terrible things.
Imagine.
Always do.
At one point, to sense traps, our fighter threw a bag of loot down a hallway.
You know, you're better off just taking like cattle and driving them down.
What if they didn't have any cattle?
We were,
Yeah, it's
we were
kinda
underground.
Always buy livestock.
We were underground at the time, so yeah.
Donkeys
Could buy
are
giant
amazing.
spiders.
Little known fact,
Oh,
cows are
no,
claustrophobic.
we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Bad topic, Broom. Bad topic.
Sorry.
What happened?
I was talking about underground livestock and I mentioned giant spiders.
Ugh.
Oh.
Okay.
But that's kind of one of the things that I think is kind of important, where you need to, especially if your group is unbalanced in terms of usefulness, or not usefulness, utility, I guess.
I know, I
Is
played
that
a sailor
you
that
need
couldn't
to-
swim.
Well,
That was very useful,
Yeah.
because, you
That
know,
doesn't
big
really
wide ocean.
matter if you're just being like in the middle of a plane.
It does when
Yeah.
you're trying
No,
to...
if you're doing an entire like naval campaign.
Yeah, we were on the sea a lot, and we did actually try and have my character swim to shore. That didn't work out well.
oh, well then that would work.
Did it work?
I drowned, holding a giant golden hook.
Yay!
Oh.
It was solid gold, we
Yeah,
couldn't
like,
leave it behind.
golden hook.
Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should've
I got
giant
revived, I
hook.
didn't die. But we didn't get the giant golden hook, so it was depressing.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Oh.
I really wanted that hook.
They mention is character mortality.
I'm so mad when you kill characters.
How many characters have I killed?
All of them.
I get mad when you think about killing characters.
You know how many characters I've actually killed in play?
3.
How many?
2.
Close.
And one of them was my own.
I get attached to my characters.
The other one was Eric's character who died from like a mole attack.
Well, you know, that was his own dumb fault. He spent all his money on arrows and a horse.
Hold on. Oh, I need to interrupt here for a moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He died because of a mole?
He started attacking a mole and the mole fought back. And he had like no weapons because he spent all his starting funds on arrows.
Arrows are a weapon.
Like,
But he had nothing else.
are we talking like a normal mole? Like a normal sized mole?
He was a bit bigger.
Like, how much bigger?
Not much. Hey, the thing you have to recall is that like in D&D, a first level character can get killed by a fucking house cat.
So deadly, these house cats.
Sorry.
If you actually look at the stats,
I'm sorry.
That's terrible.
like, here, let's
Oh.
use like a more modern system.
That's what he gets for
I'll pull up the
buying
stats
nothing
for
but
a
arrows.
house cat.
This kind of reminds me of the article about the gazebo, but I don't remember who sent me that.
Oh god, the
Ah,
gazebo.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, the gazebo that like killed the characters or something like that?
Before you go attacking the gazebo, it might be nice to know what it is first.
Oh, God.
That was hilarious.
Alright, so here's the stats for a common house cat. Now, like, your starting character is only going to have, in Pathfinder, like an AC of 16 to 20, depending upon how much they're able to game the system.
Which is
16
armor
to
class.
20. I had 13.
Then you're doing a piss poor job.
Oh.
Shots
I think you
fired.
need to
I'm
reroll,
sorry,
Kuro.
but Pathfinder and 3.5 are very much built around the whole entire concept of game mastery and knowing how to game the system. Hardcore.
I think next time you need to play a house cat, Kuro, you'd be stronger.
Gee, thanks.
Like, granted, they're not going to be doing as much damage overall, especially these ones, because they do 1d2 minus 4. That doesn't make any sense, because then there's no possibility of doing any damage.
That's kind of sad if they
Well-
can still kill you.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing to make your characters die to house cats, even though I wouldn't put it past house cats.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
They'll just sit on your face when you're sleeping.
I'm just kind of confused because, like, in the ones that I use, let me pull that information. Gotta find it first.
Well, the main thing is asking more. What about character mortality? Is it a thing that you should worry about, or I mean,
Yes,
is it?
all the time?
I think it should be more. I think players should be more accepting of it.
I'd
That
say
it happens.
it depends on their
Oh.
experience. I mean, if you're killing someone who's just playing for the first time, it's probably not fair when they're just brand new at it. But if they're experienced, they should probably know that death is inevitable.
Yeah. Like, I just like the idea that if you guys just do something wrong, you could potentially die.
It's not like you can't just go pick up their remains and grab all their stuff anyway.
Yeah, like, I remember my very first D&D campaign. I was playing a half-orc wizard, which somehow had, like, the highest intelligence in the entire group at 16, despite having a -2 racial modifier to int. And they were fighting Drow, and he goes and picks up the whip that the Drow was holding, and it ended up biting him, and he got knocked the fuck out.
Didn't see
I
that
feel like I'd
coming,
have a
did he?
really bad reaction if my character died, judging by how I am in video games.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about that.
I get really attached to my characters because I put a lot into them.
Yeah.
They're my babies, and I don't want them to die.
Which is where I think the issue comes from. Like, the older style play has quick character development. Like, you don't even fucking need a name. You just
Paladin
need to roll
001.
3d6 down the line,
You need a name.
pick a couple
Always need a
weapons
name.
and equipment,
Yeah, I would have to
And
name
then
my character.
go
and
into
it
the
would be
dungeon.
This
whereas-
whole elaborate thing.
Where in
My
3.5,
dice
there's
matched the
just...
colors of my character's eyes. That's how into it I got the first time.
That's sad.
There's just so many
Nice.
little
That's
fiddly
cute.
bits.
I like it.
Well, me
I
and
think
my
it's
friend
cute.
both played Sister Elves, and our dice were the same colors as our eyes.
That's
cute.
awesome.
I'm just playing
I think
Archer
that's
34.
awesome. That sounds like something I'd do.
So having her die would have been like devastating.
Yeah.
I kind of want to make your character die now so I can make you cry.
That is horrible.
Yeah, but you can't make her die now because my DM did something terrible to me at the end of that campaign.
No,
He
I
locked
mean,
you in an icicle.
Oh,
That's
No, you
just
can't make my 20
downright
character.
mean. No.
I can make her die.
no.
Yeah, I could.
You
No.
can't.
Unfortunately, that power lies with the GM/DM/God.
Which is an interesting topic that I feel that should be brought up. Not me killing characters because it's fun. That part is fun for me, but no, that's not what I meant. There is always a point, especially because we're human, when people get into a position of, quote unquote power, where they can very much have it thrown to their head. Now, people can handle it differently. From what I've seen and what I've read of people and their experiences, is that the best way to handle a dickheaded DM is either try to beat them at their own game, which, depending on how knowledgeable or whatever the situation is, that might work, or is to just quit. Which I don't really know if that's a victory for anybody, but you don't have to deal with the dick-ass DM anymore.
That's a victory.
So
sometimes no gaming's better than bad gaming.
yeah, so I think that could be something that we should talk about a little bit, because I think personally that DM should be willing to basically put their characters through the ringer, but they should make it fun for the players. In that,
like, the whole character mortality, like, it's one thing if it just happens due to ill fate of the die, but when the DM is trying to kill and is like just doing whatever the fuck they can to kill your character, that is not cool.
My
I
dad
think a lot
just
of it
hated
should
me.
be, you want to give your players the illusion that their characters could die at any moment,
Yeah.
but you don't actually want to press the fact that they're going to die at any moment. Like, you don't want to make a situation where they feel like that if they fuck up, they're going to die, but you want to give...
But at the same time, you want to give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Right, you want to give them the atmosphere that if they continue to mess up, they're going to put themselves in a very bad spot. You want to give them a little leeway. You don't want to, automatically have them step on a spike pit or whatever. You want to kind of give the implication that the worse they do, it's just going to look worse for the character.
Right.
And sometimes characters just get fungal infections and they die. It just happens.
That makes me think of one of our players when he wandered into some purple mist and decided apparently they grew a giant tumor.
Yeah.
A skin tumor. It doubled his weight. He had to walk around with this for 3 days before it started to come off.
Oh my.
Gross.
Yeah, it was really gross. So now we give him crap about his tumor baby all the time because
Oh.
it's his own fault. He wandered off by himself into some purple mist. Who goes into purple mist?
Apparently that person.
That's also another thing that I felt should be bring up too, is that should the DM be blamed necessarily for setting up a situation that the characters kind of
Should know
retard
better.
their way into? Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, if you're stupid enough to run
Our
down a
DM
hallway
punished
and...
us for being stupid in game.
How so?
Well, we were playing. He did a steampunk western type thing, and kind of based it off of Fallout a little bit, which is a expansive world. You can go anywhere, do anything. But we were rate linear about it, so we would be like, to the graveyard, and he'd be like, no. Why would you do that? I gave you all these other options, and you went straight for the one thing. So then he would do awful, awful things to us to make up for it, because we were stupid. So, yeah. We
Doesn't
learned real
sound
quick
stupid.
to actually take the time to think about things before we did them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a personal style. I know a lot of DMs do, I wouldn't say railroading, but they do like a sense of linearity a little bit, and then other people they want more sandboxy, which
This gets into a good discussion, the whole entire linear story, like Epic Destiny versus Sandbox, and the potential of railroading in the first case.
here's how I've always seen it, which seems to be fairly accurate. If anybody has ever played any kind of JRPG, the setup for you is pretty much all presented, even actually Japanese tabletop games, they're kind of presented in the same manner, and it kind of works well also for Western RPGs too, is because in video games especially, you generally don't have the sense of scale that you ever will have for a tabletop game, which makes sense just from imagination versus actual making it. But Japanese RPGs, they always have a very strict sense of linearity in that you have a world map, yeah, but 9 times out of 10 you need to go to a very specific place to do a very specific thing, and you don't really have a lot of options in how you do it. Any Final Fantasy, for instance, there's
It's very linear.
I mean, that's not necessarily
Invisible walls.
Yeah. I mean, you'll only be able to do so much before it's you got to go back to your past.
and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It
No, it's
can
not.
be.
It can be,
It all depends on the players.
Yeah,
They
Like, if the
expanded
players
on it
are
over
being
the years.
entertained by it and everyone's happy, then yeah, sure, that's a good thing.
Well, if the story's good, it doesn't really matter.
Well, as long as the players are happy and everyone in the DM's happy, then yeah, it's good.
I think that's the most important part that anybody should take from DMing anything, is that however you do it doesn't really matter in so much as it's as long as the players enjoy it. But I think people should also keep in mind that, especially anymore from what I've noticed, is that a lot of people that are interested in tabletop play video games. I mean, not everybody, of course, but generally speaking, there seems to be a little bit of overlap, and I think certain people, like for me, I can't stand Western RPG games. I never got into Neverwinter Nights or Skyrim or anything because I felt that the open world was too open, and it really I'm very bad at finding things for me to do unless it's like Minecraft where I can just start building shit and look at all my pretty shit that I just built. And other than that, I have a real bad time with sandbox game. I mean, even stuff like Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row, I am very bad at just running around doing shit. I always like do the story and then I run around and do shit when there's nothing else left to do.
Yeah,
I always do something.
With
There's just
video
so
games,
much
I
to do, you
completely
get
agree,
bored.
but I try to always do like very open-ended. I have no idea where the fuck we're going with this for my settings that I present.
Right, I mean, like I said, it's not a bad thing, but I think people need to keep in mind that, you know, when people, anymore especially, it seems like when people think of tabletop RPGs, the first thing that they go to is also video game RPGs too, and, you know, there's actually an occasional tabletop system that actually tries to emulate, you know, console RPGs.
Or vice versa. There was like the
Yeah,
Baldur's
and-
Gate series that did emulate it a
Was it?
lot.
What series was it?
Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, yeah, well,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
they
Baldur's
used
Gate.
they used 3.0, didn't they?
No,
3.5?
that was AD&D second.
Oh,
It was still a fun game. Like you,
Speaking of
I
D&D,
love Baldur's Gate. That was one of my
I think we
favorites.
should all acknowledge that this past Saturday was Dungeons and Dragons' 40th birthday.
oh nice.
no.
Happy birthday!
D&D.
Hooray!
My experience with D&D was Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Mystara. That's about it, really. Which was
Arcade.
an arcade game.
I had experience with the
Very good arcade
cartoon.
game.
That was terrible.
Alright, since we're on, like, experiences, why don't we discuss systems that we have utilized?
A big fat nun.
Never heard of it. Seems decent.
I did use the
My
make it
group's
up as
actually
you go
played
system.
3 or 4 different ones.
Yeah? What ones?
We did 3.5, and then we did 4 for D&D. And then we've done Shadowrun, and we've done a homemade one, and we did a Star Wars one, which was really interesting. The dice mechanics in that were really weird.
Oh, the Fantasy Flight one?
Edge of the
Yeah.
Empire?
I don't remember. I just know that there was, like,
The D10s with all the weird facings?
yeah, all the weird symbols on it, and you had to get so many of one thing to balance out the
Yeah.
other stuff.
I know, it's a little confusing, but supposedly as soon as you understand it, it's really easy
Oh, yeah.
to play.
Yeah, it really was, and it was really fun. It was so simple that our DM actually had a character in it as well. And it was pretty awesome. And now he's doing something to us on Wednesday. We don't know what it is, though. He didn't
Doing
tell
something
us.
to us on Wednesday.
Yeah, he's like, I have this new thing. We're going to try it. And I'm not telling you what it is ahead of time.
Nice.
So, yep.
That's the dun 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 moment.
Now, what have you played? Because I know you have a bit of a list. Well, maybe not a huge list, but I know you have a list.
Let's see. Well, I've done 3.5. I actually started in 3.0, and then we switched to 3.5. Well, I'm not actually sure if we ever really made the switch, since I'm pretty sure the DM just kept on using her 3.0, because my first D&D group was actually the physics teacher at high school.
Oh, really?
She was awesome. Let's see. Obviously,
That's the one that got you to Run Fair.
yes, indeed. I played Pathfinder. We did Exalted for a little while. We tried doing Seven Kingdoms? No.
Seventh Age?
No, lady, you know this one. It's
Seventh
the
Sea.
piratey one.
Seventh Sea.
Yeah, that one.
That one's
But
great.
we never actually got to play. We did character creation and then.
That's how I
I
drowned.
played a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
I'm really sad that it.
Then we had a steampunk airship game that lasted a single session.
Bitchin'.
Yeah. I played a little bit of Conan, the Mongoose Conan.
Mongoose?
I'm just
Yeah,
figuring.
it's a publishing house.
Yeah, it's a publishing house,
Yeah.
so when you said mongoose,
Okay.
kind
So
you
of
don't
just
actually
picking
play
apart a
mongooses
mongoose
then?
barbarian.
No, right.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be a cool game.
I've done Call of Cthulhu in the D20 as well as the Chaosium.
Mongoose.
Mhm.
Let's see. I've done Dark Heresy. And now Lamentations of
Have
the
you done
Flame
the kitchen
Princess.
sink yet?
No,
No,
haven't
right?
gotten that. Jeez, am I missing anything?
I have no idea.
I don't think you are.
An extensive list.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to bounce around.
I do.
Gotta make us all
He
look
gets
bad.
around.
Makes my zero look so miserable.
If you want to get into like systems that I actually own physical copies of,
No, we're good, thank you.
no, like I have copies of Busty Barbarian Bimbos, Conan again,
Started him now.
Lamentations, Swords and Wizardry, Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyboria. I have Dragonlance. I've got.
No, I have Dragonland.
I bought Airy Dragonlance. I have.
Important distinction, everybody.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Let's see. I have the Cthulhu Tech, Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, AD&D, and I believe that's it for all my physical copies.
Are you done?
Yes.
Everything?
Yeah,
Probably not. I'm sure he left something out.
probably.
'Cause
We're gonna
that's
get
what-
Ryutama.
Yes, we are gonna get Ryutama. That's actually gonna be my first physical copy.
That one did look interesting.
It
Oh,
looks
you
so
mentioned
cool.
Numenera, dear?
Oh yes, I also have Numenera.
Yeah, I got Numenera too.
I got nothing.
Interesting setting, but either way.
I got a face.
I have a bit of a horrible addiction with anime style roleplay games and mecha ones. So I have Chris Perrin's Mecha and Chris Perrin's Mecha Mercenaries, which seems pretty fun. I also believe I own, no shame here, Made RPG. I think I own that one.
It's by the same person.
Is that the card game?
Well, it's translated by the same guy that's doing Ryutama.
Yeah, and Kenro Bansho Zero, which is a badass setting.
It is, but it just doesn't appeal to me.
No, it's very Japanesey.
It's not even that. It's just very shotgun.
Well, yeah, that too, and very Japanesey.
Is Made RPG the card game?
Yep. What's that?
Is Made RPG the card game?
No.
No, that's a
Are you
different one
thinking
then.
of Munchkin?
No, there's a
No,
card game
I-
where you battle with
You're
maids.
thinking of the one with the tentacles, aren't you?
Possibly. I don't know.
Is that
All I
what
know
you're
is you
thinking of?
battle with different types of maids.
I don't know.
I'll find it out later.
I think that's the only ones I do own personally. Yeah. No, I mean I bought those.
Yeah, I know.
'Cause
That's
I-
why I'm saying technically.
So technically, if I actually bought them,
I know. And some of them aren't even in print anymore.
yeah, a lot of them aren't even in print anymore, and they're like ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sad.
Especially a lot of the earlier Warhammer stuff, which is really how I got into Warhammer, is because it's so easy to find the earlier edition Warhammer stuff. That
The Fantasy or 40K?
both.
Yeah.
What did you play?
What have I played?
And what armies?
Did do a Made RPG one once, actually.
No, I meant what armies in Warhammer?
Oh, Warhammer. Oh God, no! I don't have the money for that.
We just like the fluff.
Yeah,
We can talk your ears about that, but that's another time.
Mhm.
And then we can get into a discussion about the squats. About how Games Workshop is slowly going to go under in a couple of years.
Less than a couple of
really
years.
piss off their investors.
But yeah, I haven't really got a lot of chance to play with the things that I would would like to play simply because. Oh, and I also bought Shonen Burst recently, which has a very interesting playing card mechanic.
Totally going to be running Rutama though at some point.
Yeah, that's in the book somewhere until we actually get the copy.
Yeah, we'll figure out a setting for it.
I'm not quite sure how my house is going to handle it because when I got the pound of dice, they looked at me like I was buying heroin.
That's what you get for keeping in little baggies.
Well, they were
little
like
dime bags.
No. When the thing came in, and my brother was like, "What's this?" I'm like, "It's a pound of dice," and he's like, "Oh."
What?
Yeah, like he just like looked at me like, "Oh." What does it look like?
Looks like
What
dice.
do you think a pound of dice looks like?
It looks like half a pound of
Well,
dice.
you got to keep in mind most of the people in my house are pretty much hermits. So anything outside of what they already know is kind of weird. Like, it took them a while to adjust the fact that I had friends on the internet. So, you know, when I get a pound of dice, they're like, "What are these dice for?" And I'm like, "They're for games." Like, what kind of games?
The kind you play.
They're a new brand of cereal.
Tabletop games.
Dacios.
It was
Dacios.
a weird experience.
It would be.
Because I feel like I'm like in 2014 and they're in 1960. Sometimes.
Did they have dice in 1960?
So back to some of our topics.
Yes.
What's the best group experience or worst?
Mm.
Oh.
I don't have any good ones.
I don't have any bad
Oh, that is
ones.
just so sad.
I have a good
I
one.
don't have.
I think we can open this
Join
up
in.
to like online as well. Doesn't
Yeah, I
strictly
don't have
need to be
any.
tabletop.
Happy
Yeah,
actually
well, I
has
don't
an
have a
experience to
table.
talk about for once.
Hi.
Okay.
It's actually one that Dr. Nibbles ran. Oh. What's her face? The one with the pony as the avatar.
Okay.
Point
Raspberries will
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It was this
I know
awesome
plenty.
world that she built, and it was an incredible game, but it only ran for like 20 posts, and then it died. Which was sad, but it was still pretty
Nibbles
fun.
kind of vanished on us.
He does that.
Yeah.
yeah. She kind of like seems
She
to come
comes
and
and
go.
goes. Yeah, she comes and goes. Yeah. She does that.
My experiences were early.
There, I contributed.
early.
I can go
oh,
back to
God,
sleep.
It was like.
Bye,
What time did I register? 2009.
Yeah.
I think it was like in. Yeah, I think it was in 2009, 2010 when I actually decided to be part of the community for some retarded reason.
Hey.